All right, so let's go back to the world of Star Wars. Yes,
Oh,
we will talk about the full season of Skeleton Crew. Ricardo, you talked about the first two episodes last year. So if you don't mind, I
yeah,
want you to do just the full, just like a full recap of just what the whole show is about, right? But yeah, Skeleton Crew. I was hearing things about it. I was hearing, oh, it's Goonies, but in Star Wars. But I was hearing more. It's
right,
aimed towards younger audiences, which really caught my eye. But I was expecting this just basically to be a breath of fresh air, like just off the trailer that I saw. That's kind of going back to basics, kind of going back to the PG era, if you will, of Star Wars, right?
right.
Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, is probably one of the most significant films in Star Wars film history, in my opinion. I actually read that as one of the best Star Wars movies, right? But that one was where I was like, all right, we're gonna make this shit PG-13, Dre. We're gonna make you take this shit seriously. No, we're not gonna do this child stuff anymore, Dre. We go in deep and dark with this one, right? And that's why I still rate that movie, right? And we kind of got used to that over the years, right? And to the point where even when shows will reference those movies, like case in point, Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? You'll just be like, oh gosh, but we had to do this. Like we need to see these characters and give them side stories again, and they're not doing much to the law and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
It's all these arguments, right? But what's even more interesting though is the timing of this show, right? Because yeah, this came out right after the Acolyte, right? Where yeah, people were just up in arms and saying, "Yo, what the hell is this? This is trash." Blah blah blah. But as we both agree on, it's half of a story. That's what it was. It started off bad, but then when shit started getting interesting, it just stopped halfway, and then afterwards, people, Lucasfilm comes and say, yeah, we canceling this, so yeah, sorry, we're not gonna see what happens next. Like, yeah, fuck this show, we just moved on with our lives, right? So yeah, when Skeleton Crew was announced, like, oh, okay, this is gonna be the follow up. It's like Acolyte in the sense that we're bringing in new characters, but it's not referencing, or we're trying not to reference the old movies or films or shows, right? In any sort of way, right? We just got to tell a brand new story, right? So that's really interesting, right? But the catch is, well, again, just going back to Acolyte, is how would it play off, right? Because when Acolyte tried, it sort of dropped the ball, right? So how this one would have fit, right? But anyway, Ricardo, take it away. What was this? Well, we'll talk about season. We'll talk about seasons in a bit, right? But yeah,
Right.
what was this season of Skeleton Crew about?
Yeah, so it starts off with this a bunch of kids on this planet. What you learn the planet is called Atatin. And they just like they had to do exams to get a job. And well, the main character is Wim and living with his dad. And basically, he kind of f up the not getting to the test on time and kind of fail, and he got a chance to do it over. But then he and a couple other kids basically get this find a ship, and the ship end up taking off and leaving the planet. And then they just have to go through all these adventures. They end up finding this pirate by multiple names. We ultimately find what his name is, Jod, played by Jude Law. And it's just what happens that you learn is that this planet at Atant is not known, or right doesn't, they don't know the location for it, so they can't find it back. So they're lost and have to come back home. But also that the planet is legendary, and legendary for a reason. It's yeah, basically like something akin to a lost treasure, but you learn why and how, and why it's hidden. And it's just a bunch of great adventures of them going through and encountering different peoples and pirates and this kind of situation. And yeah, as I say, very Goonies, but also very Treasure Planet. Or well, I should say Treasure Island aspect to it, involving multiple pirates and characters and back and forth with that. And we have a bird, and they go to like a spa planet, and they come back. You actually come back home and sort that out. And yeah, that's the story. It you learn who doing what and why this is the situation. And I thought this was a lot of fun. I liked it. Uh, Mostly because Jude Law is great in this. But yeah, it's just them trying to, it's just the pirates and Jude Law having to run from the pirates and having to come back and then make all of this information and back and forth about all of this. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's the unfortunate back and forth of conceits of how to do Star Wars well. Cater to churn. It feels different because it doesn't like rough. They make one. kind of a reference to the material involving a couple characters, and then the big reveal involving what going on with the mystery planet Atatin. You learn why it's mysterious. So at least we kind of know why. We don't know the full reason. Especially given the time period, because it's supposed to be occurring around the same time as Mandalorian, which is right after Return of the Jedi. So it's still unclear why this is the way it is or what they're doing on the planet. But if the show gets a season 2, we'll probably find that out. But like as a story as it was pretty good. The robot is funny. There's a bunch of references to Peter Pan and Treasure Planet stuff. I say Treasure Planet, I should say Treasure Island. They make a reference to just a bunch of like cool ideas, and then when all was said and done, I just thought it was great because the main cast was great, and those kids are great. Wim and his friends, they were great characters. But I'll say Jude Law. Jude Law is the star, right? Legit funny, but legit threatening and dangerous at the same time. And they make good use of the plot and the conceit as it is. And yeah, I just had a ton of fun with this. I wasn't watching it out. I actually had to catch up with this day before yesterday, I think. Because I kind of stopped around episode 3 or 4. And then I was like, I ain't feeling to watch it. I think this whole week I was watching Stargate. I find myself watching a bunch of Stargate. But I was like, oh, let me finish off the show. And I ended up just, oh, okay, this was actually pretty good. And it has had good reveals and the ending and the relationship to the Republic and what going on with this planet. And we still don't know what going on with the planet, but the big final reveal involving the quote unquote supervisor, I'm like, all right, I think I know what's going on with this planet. So that was a thing, but they didn't make it a big central thing. They kept it to the main story involving the pirates and what they're about, and so they didn't really overthink it. And it'll be interesting to see what the fall off of this is, because it's kind of leave it open. I don't remember watching a post credit sequence to this, so I don't know. But they kind of left it open as to what happened to Jude Law's character, and that was like a good place to say, okay, let's see where they're gonna go with this. But why it works? It's nice. It's very family friendly. Yeah, I kind of not super dismissive, but it feels in some ways it feels like Star Wars Prodigy at times. But it was really really well done. Yeah, I
Oh,
dug
sorry,
the hell out
sorry.
of it.
I think I meant to say Star Trek, not to be confused.
No,
Like,
that was it. That's the joke I'm making. Star Wars Prodigy, right?
oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Oops.
yeah. So that's it. But yeah, I thought this was pretty good.
Yeah, well, color me surprised by this shit. Like first off, I did not expect to enjoy watching this, right? I like
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
I wasn't watching this on a weekly basis. I just sort of watch it over like a 3D basis, right? And for the first time, like I can't remember the last time I should say where I was watching a Star Wars show, like a TV show, and I was excited to see what happens next. I was genuinely excited to see what the next episode entails, right? And I found out in this, right? So yes, I had an absolute blast with this show. I really dug this, right? For one thing, right? But that's to get it out of the way, right? So I don't think we're gonna get a second season of this, right? But where that final episode ends, right? Just going
Right.
back to what you said, right? I like that it leaves certain things open, right? Especially in terms of Jude Law's character, right? Without spoiling too much, right? I want to keep things as spoiler free as possible, right? I like that where he stops off in the story, right? It sort of relates to where our lead character Wim ends up as well, right? It's something revelatory, something that could kind of shape the way how they see the world around them, how they see themselves, right? That's all I see. So at first when I saw it, I was like, wait, how they could just like, all right, I understand the end, I appreciate it, but I felt that there was something missing, right? And then when I watched, like, what I really thought about is like, oh no, 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 that's the point. Oh, okay. So I like how they do that, but it's done in such a way where it could leave, like, let me just say, if people are clamoring for it, yeah, we could have a second season. But I don't think there needs to be one. I mean, if there is one, okay, cool. But I think this is like the a great spot to stop things off, right? But yeah, that being said, I really enjoyed this. For one thing, just the storytelling was just so sharp, though. I like the world building, or at least the world of Aten that we see here, right? What's so interesting here with this, right? It doesn't feel like what we've seen before with the Star Wars with the other Star Wars shows and movies, right? Because this one is set long after the war, right? This is the New Republic, right? So it feels
I
almost
don't know about
like
long after. It was just like about 10 years though. It's just
okay,
around the
all
same
right.
time as Mando. Yeah.
All right. Well, I read it up here. It's actually 5 years up after
5 years, right? Okay.
yeah, after the Empire fell. 5 years, right?
Mm.
But what's the why I don't know. Maybe this is why it felt like much longer, right? Is all right. The best way I could sum it up though is that it feels like a contemporary sort of ultra modern society that you see here. It doesn't look off. It both looks and feels like something out of a Star Wars show, right? But it also feels a little different. It feels like almost like you're watching something new, but it still exists in the Star Wars universe, right? So I like how distinct it looks and feels, right, compared to what we saw before, right?
Right.
Um, that's the society, the way how the characters move. This idea of, oh, we have to serve the supervisor, we have to do these exams and be employed in certain fields and all that kind of stuff,
Right.
right? So it's like it's taking the 80s aesthetic of like suburbia, like what you see in
Right.
a show like, Goonies or Back to the Future, but that's altering it to like a futuristic style, right? But it does again, it just doesn't. It both looks,
Well,
it,
it
it both feels
works.
like Star Wars, but it doesn't feel like it. It feels like
Yeah,
a
it
advancement, if you will. That's what I'm trying to
yeah,
say.
no, it works. It works in the conceit of the subtext of it, like the
Yes.
idea of suburbia and its relation to the two, and this isolation from the outside world kind of thing. That whole thing. But as I said, I thought they would have went in deeper with the reason why Atatin is hidden and all of that.
Me
Because
too.
nobody.
And if
But
I just have one tiny gripe, they could have gone just a little deeper though.
right, right. So
Yeah.
I think we might get that. That's why I think it might get a season two because I feel it's left a bit too open. So it doesn't feel like a complete story as it is.
Yeah.
Involving like what going on with the force field and all of that. I forget it is the defense network and so on. So
Yeah.
um and all of that. So I think, but then when you find out that is what the supervisor is, and the supervisor sounds like a certain someone, right? When you listen to the voice and
Yes.
how it
Yep.
talks and a
Yeah.
couple of the quotes, it's like, oh, okay, something up here.
Yeah.
So
I picked up on that too.
right. So I thought it had a big I think, but what I thought that Jude Law's character would have been like secretly a good guy in relation to that guy. And that's what I thought it was going.
Oh.
But then, so like that was the long game that was being played, but that's not what happened. So it's like, all right, let me see where they're going with this. All right, and then they didn't really answer that question, but I didn't mind because it was still a complete story in its own right.
Yes.
Involving
Yes.
Wim and the people and so on. So it's like, all right, you leave something and you give me something to just think about. When if and when a season two or some kind of sequel series or follow up series happen. And I hope we do. I hope we get a season two for it because I thought, these kids are great.
Yes.
They
Yes. Yes.
all are really good actors, bounce off each
Yes.
other really well, especially the main kid, Wim, the kid
Wim,
played.
yeah, who's played by
He's
Ravi Kabot Conyers.
yeah, yeah,
This is the
yeah.
first time I'm
He
seeing
is
him, and yeah,
yeah,
he was great though. So
he is
likable,
excellent.
so
Yeah,
charming, right? Yeah,
you're
I
right,
like how much of a fanboy, so to speak, he is of the Jedi, right? He
right,
has this sort of like this kind of weird photo album, like a oh gosh, like a picture book kind of thing, Legends of the Jedi, right? Which of course is related to stuff that we've seen through countless films and media, right? So I like just the contextualization of that, right? Like, oh, the stories that we saw that did happen are now like storybooks now. They're legends being passed on, right? So I like that. That's really cool, right? And that's one thing I really dug about this show here, right? Is just how things are contextualized or recontextualized, right? Case in point, the Jedi, right? In particular with the character Jude Law, right? Who is great in this, right? Because
yes,
yeah, at first he's a pirate, but then you realize he's a force user and he says he's a Jedi. But then you
right.
just start thinking about it now. Oh, so years pass, so this is where the Jedi at right now. Is they like ruining that. So if they want to be doing nothing, all right, yeah, cool, it makes sense. Be a
Yeah,
pirate,
well,
pillage
the
and
big
make
yeah
money, right?
yeah the big giveaway of him not being a Jedi is the fact that he just didn't join up with Luke and them.
That's true.
Um,
Yeah, yeah. And
I'll try to
he never
I'll try to
mentioned working with the oh gosh, with the Jedi, with the
exactly.
Alliance or whatever it
I
is.
remember
Yeah.
right, exactly. He should have joined back up, and then he's like, "Well, he's a pirate." But you realize, he's still a force user. And then I forget the girl from Ahsoka. Remember the girl who didn't really have force powers, and then in the end she used some force powers. He kind of like that.
Oh
So he
right,
like
yes, yes, her.
a,
Yeah,
a
I forgot
or
her
he
name
might,
too.
or he kind of like a Amanda Stenberg character who was the Jedi character.
And
They have
oh gosh, Acolyte. Yes, yes.
in Acolyte, right? So just a kind of they have a little bit of force powers, but they won't train in any
Yeah,
meaningful sense.
they didn't get the full training, so they only
Yeah,
know
yeah,
part
but
of it.
he
Yeah.
he kind of get no training. He can get very little training. He mentioned, and he say, "Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that seemed to be like a true story." I think that story is reliable. So
Yes,
that
yes,
that is
yes.
it.
I like how yeah, how trustworthy and untrustworthy he is. He could just flip that on a dime. I like that. For this, at the end of the day, he just want this particular he just wants access to treasure. That's what he wants, right? But you could tell he wanna go about it in the most reasonable way possible. So at first he have he goons with him, right? Then he meets up with these kids. It's like, all right, cool. Well, they know, and okay, the treasure is in their home planet. So if I just get there, cool, no problem, right? But why these kids so nosy and why they keep asking him a bunch of questions, right? So when they get to that point, yes, he turned heel, but you could tell even when he's being all threatening and whatnot, and points for the use of the lightsaber. I like that, right? Again,
Yes.
just contextualizing stuff. So we usually associate the Jedi as being good, but in this case, he is bad in quotes, right? But you could
Right.
tell
And
true and true
it's
that
great
he
that
don't want to do it. Like he don't want to hurt
yes.
nobody, you know. But it's like,
And
look, if
it's
all they
great that
push
they
me, you
use
know, I will do it.
yeah.
I like that.
And yeah, it's great that they use a blue lightsaber. So they, as in the
Yes.
context of a good guy. So because they play with that going both ways, and then they ultimately have Wim use it at the ending. I was like, oh, that's great stuff, though. Like good visuals, as it is. And
Yes. Agreed.
it reminded me the ending with what you call him, Last Jedi. Like anybody could do this. That aspect of it. No. Wim, as far as we know, have no force powers. I don't think so. And but it just sets up this character as a great hero standing up to the bad guy in that way, in a great way. And it just tells such a good story. It do the main thing is that they don't lean into the Star Wars bullshit, but they contextualize the story really reasonably well. Like you don't need to know just have a lightsaber and then a certain allusion to a character. That's it. Leave it there. No more. And I thought that was excellent. As it is. Yeah, go ahead now.
Yeah, agreed, right? So yeah, I just like the fact that he's that guy who don't want to use violence, but he will if he want to, and that makes him all the more threatening at the same time. Because yeah, those last couple episodes, I was just there like, oh shit, like what if somebody just say or do something just to piss him off,
Yeah,
and he snap dreaded. Either he use
yeah.
a lightsaber or he pull out a gun and just like kill
But I just
somebody
think, yeah,
dread.
yeah,
It works. It really works.
he vicious, because he's still
Yes.
cold. He's still vicious when you're ready. Like the part where you talk about like the part with the acid. Like, oh, Daryl cold, Daryl
Yeah,
shit too.
boy.
Yeah,
And even though a part of us was like, I wish we saw that, I wish we saw
yeah,
it
for real.
instead of just
Yeah,
hearing the sound effect. I was like,
yeah,
but at the same time, knowing that he do that, I was like, oh wow,
right.
okay, wow.
Somebody I thought would have been bigger in this, and they didn't really get that big of a role, which was I forget to mention him last time, but Jaleel White was in this. Uh,
Yes, like when I
yeah, see,
saw the face, like, wait, that's
yeah,
really white to this.
yeah,
Like, yeah,
to
and
kill himself.
he plays a pirate. The
One of the pirates. And I felt
yeah,
I thought he would have been bigger or serve a bigger role, but nah, apparently not. But he could show back up in season two if there is a season two. I'm not sure if you get one. Because this the kind of story that could skip years and it wouldn't really matter. If the
right.
children grow up, it don't really matter. That kind of stuff. You don't need to do an immediate season two. Yeah, okay, they won't be as cute, but it you could still tell the story with these characters and keep them around or whatever it is. And I think Wim himself is a star in particular. Like he could go on, and I really, really hope a bright future ahead of him forever. For whatever they're doing, right? The I forget the girl's name. She's good too. The
Oh, you
girl
mean the
with the
character's name, right? Yeah.
Superman.
And
Fern,
there's
yeah.
KB.
She
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. She's good too. Like what
Yes.
they do with her is good too. But I thought they were gonna do something different or something deeper. And I didn't really get that. Like ultimately it was her and Wim, but it was more Wim. Like Wim's
Yeah.
arc about trusting people and then becoming a little not so hard and cynical, but just like, okay, the galaxy out there is dangerous, you had to be serious, but you could still stick to your morals, that kind of stuff. They
Yeah.
make it work. Just a good
Well,
adventure.
yeah, KB was a really interesting character as well. I
She was a
like
nice
that
character
she
too,
had her moment to shine because yeah, like you see the visor and oh gosh, well forgive me, Ricardo, but yeah, I was thinking LeVar Burton from TNG.
Right.
Like
Right,
sorry,
yeah.
when I
But
see visors, I think
right.
TNG, right? But
But I was
I
thinking,
like that
yeah, but
there's
it
more
looked
to
like
her character than that.
I forget the character. Wait, what kind of I forget his name, the Gobot or something like that. Remember that guy who have robot shit in the back of his head in Star Wars? I think it was Empire Strikes Back on Cloud City. That is what they kind of
Oh,
pull it from.
him, yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That guy who was working with
Right.
yeah, I think he was working either with Boba
Lando.
or he was right with Lando, right? That's it.
With
Yeah, yeah,
Lando, right? He was on
right.
just a Lando planet. He was there. But it is
Yeah.
that. But they get into the aspect of her being disabled because they had to do like her stuff to shut down ever so often, and they did something with that, which is a nice little scene.
Maintenance. You had to do like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
regular
Yeah, but
maintenance. Yeah.
her parts will get rusted if she's not careful, and where she is because she had to go all over the place on the planet because Atatan is so idyllic, it's great. One episode I really liked too is the one where they went to this planet where another planet similar to Atatin, but everything shut down.
Oh
And
yes, and they meet like well, essentially like this French resistance group.
right,
I listen
effectively.
to the accent like that's
Yeah, the
French
girl
though, like the way they
yeah,
talk.
the girl song like a French resistance fighter. But
Yeah.
what was so interesting about this is that it's a planet very similar, but
Yes.
the robot shuts down. But it's so, to me I find the setup so much mystery to not be answered because they wipe the memory of the guy. We learn why he do it kind of, but then in relation to when you find out who the supervisor is in Anatan, it have other planets like this, and it's a bunch of a big network of planets. So it's like, oh well, they have a bunch of open questions, and they're genuinely interesting questions that I know if you do it right, you would care about it, even if all of this is before episode 7, 8, and 9, which I think on average are bad. I mean, I'm in the camp that still defends Last Jedi, but 7 is mediocre, like forgettable, repetitive stuff, and then 9 is one of the worst things I've ever watched in theaters.
Same here, boy.
Yeah,
Heated
so
nine. Heated nine.
yeah. So it's that, right? So I don't know like where they're going with it, but it's interesting stuff about, especially in the context of Mandalorian, with all these stuff leading up to the New Order. It is more world building, but you're actually interested in it because of how they tell the story and whose perspective. Again,
Yes.
it's not that they tell a story, but who you tell about it. And I think that episode was Bryce Dallas Howard. I think that was one of the better episodes for me. Um,
Yes, and
yeah,
you know, speaking of Hoodoo, I love the fact that they got some guest directors to come and do the thing
yeah,
because
great. Yeah,
I
good
see
directors here.
I see Lee Isaac Chung show up. I like what?
Right,
Like and
right.
John Watts he do the well he did the
Well, he did.
first and
Yeah,
the last episode.
he did. Well, he did.
Yeah.
I think it's his conception in
It
general.
is, yeah, yeah. He
Right,
co-created. I thought it was
right,
funny that David Laurie, direct a few episodes because yeah he did the
right.
Green Knight, but he also did which I remember reviewing the Peter Pan and Wendy live action film, which is I it was I, but again is
Right.
kids and
Okay.
pirates, right? So I thought it was really interesting, right?
Yeah.
What catch me though? They get the Daniel Sederica episode, Dread,
Right.
episode 4.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I like what? Like the Daniels, from Everything Everywhere All at Once. Like
Yeah.
what? Like
Hmm.
okay,
Yeah.
what I mean? And
Yeah.
is the same episode? Is the same episode with the Resistance people? Yeah,
Right.
they direct that one episode. Like what? Okay.
Yeah. Exactly. Just good talent involved with this, and it just come true. Solid outfit. Solid
Yeah,
outfit.
yeah.
I can't be mad
A
at
few,
any of
yeah, a
it.
few things before I get to read it, right? The music actually works though. I would say compared to the score and the theme song for the Acolyte. I remember this one. I thought that this particular piece of music, well, the theme song really stuck, right? And it's from Mick Giacchino, so I'm assuming that he is related to the goat himself,
Right.
him, right? I'm assuming so. I could be wrong, right? But I'll have to look it up, right? But yeah, the kid actors are great, though. They're just so charismatic, right? Especially Ravi, who plays Wim, right? It's so
Yeah.
likable, right? The big surprise for me though was well the kid who plays Neil Dread, because yeah, Neil, when you look at it like say from those kid like 80s kid movies, yeah,
Yeah.
he's the kind of how to say, boy, he's the sheepish character. He's the one
Right.
who's always afraid to get involved in
Right.
or fights or battle or danger. He's that guy, right? I thought like the animatronic. Well, I'm assuming this is either puppet. It's probably puppetry they do, right? Because yes, it's an elephant alien. I forgot the type of the
Yeah.
alien
I don't
species.
know
I forgot the name.
The Max Rebo. I just know him as the Max Rebo.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So I thought that, yeah, just I thought that he was quite likable as well, right? Um, but to me, like I would say second favorite character for this, right? Outside of Wim, right? Um, boy, SM to the tree boy.
Right.
He
Yeah.
is a standout. And I was
Yeah.
shocked when
The
I found out it
chief.
was Nick Frost,
Yeah. Nick
voice him, right?
Forster.
What make his character work is like one thing, right? He's this lumbering droid, right? But he is playing on the whole pirate conceit of the story, right? For one thing, the
Well,
way how
it's
he
a play on
walks.
I think it's a play on it have a character
Um,
Shimi.
or Shmi
Um,
from oh gosh, from
right,
Peter Pan, right? Yeah,
right.
yeah. I was thinking more of Captain Hook, right? Well, this the pirate archetype, right? Because for one
Right.
thing, if you notice, he has one eye, right? So the other eye, instead of a patch, is just a hole, right? And
There's
there's
a
this
whole lot of
running gag of like this
yeah,
rat that just there just because, right?
yeah,
But then also the way how he walks, right? He has
yeah,
a bum leg. So when he's
yeah.
walking, literally, like when that foot hits the ground, it literally sounds like a piece of music. I'm hearing bang, bang it sounds louder, but it sounds like drums that you would hear in some kind of like triumphant film score, stuff like that. Like the sound effect I talk about there sounds so loud. It's almost like they take that from a piece of music, like from a musical score, and just add that to it. But it just adds so much character, right? Just the dialogue, like one moment I'll always remember is where one of the characters say, "Oh, keep your eyes on Jude Law's characters, right? Okay, baby sitting protocol activated. Okay, stay here, baby. Don't go anywhere, baby." Something like that he was saying that. Just that line I thought was just this paraphrase here. I thought that line was hilarious. That this big droid telling this one man, stay inside, baby. Don't do anything, baby. I thought that was really cool as well,
Yeah.
right? Just the cameos were great as well. I was just saying side characters were great, right? I would not expect in a million years, right, to hear Aliyah Shawkat
Right.
from
I didn't know it
Arrested
was her.
Development
I didn't know
voice
it was her tour.
basically this owl dread, this alien
Yeah.
owl in it dread. Like when I
It's
saw
only,
the
it's
name, it's
only,
like, oh
it's only
shit.
because, yeah, it's only because I was watching Severance this week. I like, wait,
Okay.
Alia Shaw.
Well,
That was
she's in
in this
that.
too.
Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah, she was in that, yeah. Right.
Yeah, and there's some other, cameos that I may have missed. But yeah, what I saw Jaleel was like, hey, you gain Lucasfilm money too. All right, bro. Do
Right.
your thing. Do your thing. Yeah. But yeah, this was just an absolute blast. I just had a lot of
Yeah.
fun with it, right? I love that it is family friendly, right? But at the same time, diehard fans could watch this and still appreciate it and understand where they're going with it, right? I love the framing of it as this sort of like ultra modern kind of advanced stage of the Star Wars lore. It's harkening back to like those 80s movies and whatnot, but it still feels modern at the same time, right? It still adds to, the existing world of Star Wars that we know, right? But for me, what really makes the show work though, and this is the key to it all too, right? Is the childlike awe of it all. Just the idea of like, especially that's what I think like diehard fans should appreciate it, right? It kind of takes it back to finding out about Star Wars for the first time or seeing Star Wars
Yeah.
for the first time, right? And not saying that I was one of those folks who like I wasn't even alive then, I didn't see Return of the Jedi when it came out in 83, right? But I can imagine for a lot of kids when they saw Return when they saw the original trilogy, right, they were just like amazed, like, wow, like these worlds and these characters and this action and this excitement, right? I felt that when I was watching this. I felt like I was a
Yeah.
kid again, just seeing Star Wars for the first time and just being excited and thrilled. Like I genuinely felt thrills watching this show, right? I haven't even felt that for a Star Wars show in a long while. So this literally did feel like a breath of fresh air, right? Just taking something, just kind of going back to basics, going back, like I said before, to the PG era of Star Wars, right? Where there was like this amazement and awe to everything that you're seeing here, right? Before things got serious, after with episode 3 and onwards, right? So yeah, surprise, surprise, this is the first great show I have seen this year. And yes, I know the show started late last year, but whatever. Point is, this is one of my favorite shows of 2025 so far, man. So I had to go high with this one. For me, I'm gonna give this a strong 4 to a very light 4.5 out of 5, man. I don't think we will get a season 2, but I will be happy I will be surprised. First of all, I'll be happy if we get one, right? Because I think that yes, you're right. The added stuff could be explored a lot more instead of just being this mystery box things essentially. Well, not so much. Like they kind of reveal certain things, but there's still more to it that could have been
Yeah.
revealed as well, right? So yes, that brought it down just a bit for me, right? I felt we could have gotten more out of that, right? But if the idea is that, oh, we're not sure if we will continue the story, then okay, fine. But I felt like where it stopped off at, I thought that was great. Like just
Right.
that point is great, right? And we could see if they green light a second season, we'll see what happens from there, right? But that's great, right? So like I said on Facebook, just lastly, just the joke I make. Yes, apology for the acolyte accepted, but this is
Right.
a breath of fresh air. Lucasfilm and I should say Star Wars franchise here is off to a great start with this too. Like it's kind of going back to basics, right? I just hope that the next show that we get, maintains that quality. So
Yeah.
Ricardo, your file what's rated?
Yeah, about the same rating. I give it like a 8 out of 10. Just so well executed. It kept the attention. It didn't overstay its welcome, and it was just a charming, product in general. This was excellent. I thoroughly loved it. I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did, but yeah, they as the kids say, they cooked here. This was good.